He might get caught. Let's make him a JP. We'll hide him under the carpet and we'll just move him into JP. 25
How's that been working out though?
He's got some issues down here.
Really? What have you heard about that?
I've heard that some of the people at Sheffield.
She knows me.
I know.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I do. I know. I'm just about to tell her.
Yeah, you know, I read all this stuff and I hear all this, and I'm just kind of like, I thought, man, I wish somebody had asked me. You asked me what had happened the whole time. Nobody ever asked me. They just, you know, I go on this, I go on the Eureka News thing. I'm like, holy cow, they're claiming all this stuff, and it's like, I wish somebody had just called me and said, what was the circumstances of your hire, and how'd you end up where you ended up, and how'd you end up at the sheriff's office and then the JP? I mean,
well, how is it that you didn't go to the academy?
Well, the deal is that you're not required to for the first year. You understand? I had a advanced post in California, so I worked down there for almost 25 years, 24 years. And they came to my house one time because they knew me because of a tragic death my neighbor had. Anyway, I got to know some of the deputies up here. They knew I was a retired deputy, just lived in the woods, very happy. Called me up and said, they came to my house and said, hey, you interested in a job? We got a guy going to Iraq. No, thank you. I don't want to be a deputy anymore, and that's that. So months go by, you know, nothing. I just enjoying living out in the woods and doing my substitute teaching. And they come back out and said, hey, we got a guy that got severely hurt in a crash, motorcycle crash.
I remember that.
And they said, he's going to be 4 to 6 months. We need somebody that can just work 4 to 6 months, do their thing. And I said, okay, 4 to 6 months. That'd be something fun. I learn some country, see the county, learn my way around, meet people, and that's that. 4 to 6 months.
And what were you doing in that 4 to 6 month period?
Well, no, I'm saying that was the deputy's recovery period.
Okay.
They said he's going to be back to the job, so I said, okay, I'll take that on-permanent job.
But 4 to 6 months as an officer in a car.
As a deputy, because they were just looking for somebody that was trained that could just go in there. You know?
So it was more than transport.
Originally, as a deputy sheriff.
Okay, so Anderson lied in that.
Hang on.
Okay.
So the deal was, you know, I took the job going, okay, 4 to 6 months. And then he wasn't getting better. He had a number of medical issues. He had a horrible injury. So, head injury. So, kept going on and on. They said, are you interested in becoming a permanent deputy? I said, no. I do not want to work night shifts. I don't want to work holidays. I just want to do my thing and then go back to doing what I was doing. And right around, because they said, you know, we can go pre-academy for a year, so you can be extended 6 months under another extension, especially in my case, I said, because I don't want to be a deputy. And at that point, they said, well, we've got this deal coming up. We're going to have a civil transport deputy. They approved that position. And I said, I'd be very interested in that, because that's Monday through Friday. It's not weekends. It is not holidays. And I said, you know, that'd be something I'd be very interested in. So that job was approved by the Board of Supervisors, the county commissioners. It came open. Several people applied. They gave me the job. And it was basically authority somewhat similar like a reserve in that when you're on duty, when I was off duty, I had no peace officer powers. On duty, doing transports, doing the civil subpoenas and notifications. And I had that job for, I don't know, however long it took until February came up. The whole hoorah came up with Judge Hicks, which was truthfully an embarrassment. Came up, a bunch of us put in for it. I managed to, I sit there, I had a call to all the people I knew, had all the business people, all the school people, everybody I knew, said, hey, you know, if you want to support me now, it'd be a great time. Principals, college people, I mean, I substituted for a long time, because I mean, I knew that thing was a mess, needed to be kind of squared away. So I went in there and said, hey, here's how we're going to start doing business. It's not going to be the good old boy nonsense. It's not going to be me and you going back and sitting in my office and cutting a deal. The state went to all this effort to build, you know, make me this big book.
Well, if that's true, please be JP up here. I said, please, if that's true, please be the JP up here.
Well, any questions, you go down there in my office, talk to my staff, or talk to anybody that's ever appeared before me. I'll tell you, it's right down the line. I said, hey, here's the deal. If you come in for this, you have two options. Certainly can plead guilty, pay the fine, which is the posted bond right on the citation, or you request a hearing, which is the trial. we don't negotiate. I can't talk to you ex parte because that's completely inappropriate for you and me to sit there without the highway patrolman or deputy or whoever wrote you the ticket or made the arrest. So here's the, well, I'm almost done. So I said, here's what I set that court up and said, look, here's the deal. We're going to go right down the line. There's no, no gamesmanship, no deal making, no, we just follow the rules in the books. I mean, I've got businesses upset because I'm requiring them to have attorneys if they're corporations. They used to just roll in there and represent themselves. I mean, there's a lot of things we brought up to speed. The initial appearances, the arraignments, all these things that were not cool are now following the books. And I sit there and I go, and I told my clerks, I said from day one, I said, we may have, somebody have to come down and hammer on some of these folks, but everybody gets treated right. You treat them respectfully, treat them with a little bit of dignity. You screwed up. I'm not here to give you a lecture. I'm just saying, here's what you got to do. Here's your penalty. Here's what's going to take to get out of this. Get this behind you. And I sit there and sometimes I kind of chuckle on the inside because I hand down some kind of tough stuff on some of these people, pretty stiff fines, and it certainly bails on. You've probably been reading the paper about all these drug dealers we got going down there. I'm ratcheting that up. And you know what? I just tell them, sir, here's what you're going to do. Here's what it is. I'm not trying to beat you down or tell you, hey, you're an idiot for doing this. You're a bad guy. You know better. It's just take care of the business. But they respect it. I don't get any grief from them. I don't walk around all paranoid that some guy sentence is going to come up and do something because, I've had them come back and say, well, I appreciated how you treated me. And more importantly, I've had friends of theirs that are mutual friends of mine come up and say, hey, one of my buddies went over there and, they were pretty happy about how it went. So, I'm trying my hardest to make this a squared away operation. So I thought, well, I'll just come up here and see if I can find, I don't even know who you are. I figure you're part of the group so you can report back. But
I just thought, what I have heard is that most people in the staff really like you.
Well,
and
I've heard it professionally.
Some people that I know that have appeared before you in Libby have been very pleased about it. I've heard one complaint where you didn't have good handle on tenant landlord law.
Somebody's always unhappy with that.
But that the interpretation of the law wasn't quite right, and there was some question on that. That was the only complaint I've heard.
And the upside of that is because of being a justice court, we have what's called de novo. That means that if we're not a court of record. Big cities, Kalispell JP is a court of record. It's an official thing. Everything's documented, blah, blah. There's a lot to it. But anyway, in our justice court, it's just, if you want to appeal your decision in my court, straight to district. 30 days to do it on the civils. And they were told that again, that if you have any interest in appeals, here's what you got to do. So,
that was the only complaint I heard was
I get a lot of those landlord tenants that come through there, and that's a sticky mess.
That was the only complaint I've really heard in terms of the way you handled your court. Where I've got an issue though is you were there when Kingsley was picked up in front of Pomada.
Yeah, right.
That was 13 months after you were hired.
Yeah. Well, like I said, here's the thing. I'm not making excuses. I'm saying, I was a deputy working then. They told me straight up, hey, you can do 12. Then we can potentially extend it for even 6 more as an emergency, which was certainly a deal because I told them way before I am not going to be a permanent deputy sheriff.
Henderson never filed a post anything on you.
Okay, and that may be true.
Wayne Terrence has nothing on you.
Well, I understand that, but I guess here's my beef. When I got hired, I worked for San Diego for 1979 to 2004. Never once.
Little hiatus there.
Never once did I ever hiatus.
You were gone for 2 years. That's okay.
79 to 2004, I was gone.
No, there was 2 years in there.
What years was that?
Yeah, there was 2 years that in San Diego that were.
You lost me.
Well.
Okay, anyway, so what I was going to say is, I get hired. I fill out my paperwork just like every employee does. What my employer does, I have no idea. And I'm not saying whether they filed it. I'm not saying they didn't file it.